Hello and welcome to the 2024 UCI Esports World Championships, the Open Qualifiers. See who can make it into our semi-finals. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be bringing you all of the race action here in our women's event with Emma Martin. Emma, we've just seen a cracking men's event. We're not going to do any spoilers because I know a number of people will be watching to watch both. But it certainly teed us up. It gave us an indication of the racing here today on what is going to be two absolutely critical stages. Let's run through stage one first of all, because it's absolutely key.
Yes, the men's race definitely worth a watch. And they started out on stage one like the women are about to. So a 1.7 kilometre length track. Now, the riders have 15 minutes to set the fastest time through the segment because there is a 300-metre sprint segment on this course. And it is that the riders are targeting. The fastest time through the segment picks up points, and those points are big, a maximum of 40 points for the fastest time through that sprint segment today. The top 20 riders will all get points, but from 40, 38, 36, 34 and down to 2.
So degrading by 2 points at a time as our riders go down through those standings. So key to go in and get in there. But also they need to bear in mind what they've got coming up as well, because, of course, this is one of 2 stages that form part of our Open Qualifiers. And this, of course, is the Open Qualifier race number 1. It is pretty unique, though.
It is. Now, the draft is on. So riders really have to think about what they're going to do here. Do they go through and have a attempt at the sprint on the first lap and then sit back and recover, dependent upon the time they have put in? Do they wait and see what time other riders put in? And how much of a balance is there between stage 1 and stage 2?
Indeed. And where do you focus? Where do you put this in? Now, draft is key. Emma's indicated already, the draft is on. Being able to pick up draft, the pace, the ability to hide behind is going to be key. It's going to be absolutely critical to make sure that these riders get a good time in. More points you score here, the bigger the points tally you take into stage 2. All the points added up between stage 1 and stage 2. And although there are more points on stage 2, you cannot discount the importance of getting a good foundation on the sprint in stage 1. We are going to move into our countdown. The riders' nerves will be going. It's time to see what they can do here on the Open Qualifier number 1 on the UCI 2024 World Esports Championships, powered by MyWhoosh. Away we go. This course is key. We've got a little bit of a twisting section, but we then drop down, and already interesting to see that we are in with Go Paul at the moment. And quickly out of the saddle here, wanting to stay in this pack, the group all together.
Well, they are indeed. And the German rider on our screen at the moment, she's pushing on at the front of the pack. I say pushing on, but it's not a strong pace. It's a steady pace, but they are all rolling together. And you can see that on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, one large yellow blob of riders rolling through that section as they come round. Now, this sprint, you can see on the top right-hand corner of your screen, they're on the flat section at the moment, but the banking does dip and it does give them some momentum. And you can see Chu there just pushing on the pace with Prado at the front. I wouldn't want to be on the front at the moment. I'd want to be a little bit further back, but they do need to make the most of this drop in terms of momentum. Well, we can see the lift on the pace starting to come as the riders sweep round the bend into what will be the green start banner of the sprint for the first time.
So this is where it's going to be key. Who's going to be able to put the pace down? We're starting to see that wind up coming. Bonner-Miller hits it at 8.5 now, going up to 10. But look at Alta Marino, 14 watts per kilo coming from her. Will she have the fastest time? She moves up into P1. She's moved right over the top. Hausan coming up speed behind. Will she be able to hold that pace? It's a long, long sprint here as you come in through. Who's going to have the fastest time? There were some big kicks coming from the back.
Well, Sulia Kasani comes from the back to the front of the group. Textbook sprinting from Asulia Kasani, picking up 40 points at the moment and heading the table. You can see in front of you, Heo Zhang in 2, Catherine Montoya in 3, Gina Van Rossum in 4. Fabulous sprinting on lap 1.
And that was as you say, a textbook sprint there as Kasani came charging in through. Explain why that was so good, Emma.
Well, we were talking there in terms of I wouldn't want to be on the front coming into that descent and the drop into the sprint. And the reason is because on the front and sprinting from the front, you might be first across the line, but you're not going to set the fastest time. And it's the fastest time through the sprint that's important. Utilizing the draft is what is going to give you that. And Kasani doing that exactly. We didn't even see her on that list of names on our screen, indicating she was 8th, 9th, 10th in the pack, or even further back. And she utilised the entire pack to come through on that sprint. There you go, 18.793, the fastest time.
And the only rider to go sub 19 seconds on the way through. So Kasani from Zhang, Montoya, Van Rossen, and then Alta Marina, who led it out at the front, leading a trio of Philippines riders with Predo and Bonamilla immediately behind. Gokipol in 8th place. Looks like we've got a real mix of riders as it comes through. The last rider through the sprint section on our screen shown in 12th position, Kristen Hamilton, and a 21.9. Now, these are the points that have been scored on lap number 1. That's when we had the big group together. But I'm not sure whether or not that big group paid enough attention to the draft. We will have a look. Here we go, in for the next run. So here we are. We followed Alta Marina through last time. Angelica Alta Marina is going to have to put a push in here. She'll want to score a few more points. Has she got a repeat kick? Out of the saddle she goes. You can see her on our screens here, really sprinting. And we've got more than one rider together there. We've got 2 of our riders in the same place. I suspect it's going to be potentially Predo as well as they come in through here. The kick is on. This is about putting in a time, grabbing some more points here, and maybe propelling yourself up. Will it change the top positions as they go in through? We're going to find out. You can see now Angelica Altamarino just spinning down, just shuts off the gas and decides, has she done enough to move into a faster position? And how often do you do that?
Well, it's a good question, isn't it? Because she hasn't moved into a faster position. She's currently sat in 5th place, Predo in 6th, Bonilla in 7th. And the top 4 still remain the same without pushing on for that sprint. So it is about how many times you do it, how many times you try, and are you going to gain points, or are you just going to deplete your energy by continuing to sprint and continuing to try and not picking up any more points? I think there has to be a balance between how many points are enough on stage 1 going into stage 2, because there are 40 points available at the top in stage 1. There are 80 points available in stage 2.
So just in with Hao Sang at the moment, just sitting on the wheels there of Kasani. Kasani's a good wheel to follow. The rider from China, just keeping those legs spinning at the moment. And a rider who's got some pedigree as well.
Yeah, she's a really strong rider. Chinese rider, road race champ, 6th in the national time trials. She's a strong rider, and really interesting to see her here today, looking to qualify for the World Championships Esports.
So the riders, top 10 riders in the end of the racing today will be the top 10 riders who move through to those semi-finals. Now, will we see a fast pack come together? We have got dot to dot out on that course. It's a long string of individual or duos of riders, and the potential for draft is down. And this is now about strategy. It's about how much energy for how much reward can you take out of this for another big effort? How much risk is there of putting a big effort in and then maybe not being able to absolutely nail it on stage 2? We are 8 minutes in, so we are heading pretty much to the halfway marker at 7 minutes 30, and I suspect we're not going to get too many more kicks, Emma.
Well, I have to think you might be right, Matt.
I know it pains you to say that.
I said
but...
that very slowly. You might be correct. I'm looking here. We're in with Vanilla. Zhang is there. Ultimarino, Marin, Montoya are behind with Van Rossum. Now, some of these riders are going to be very, very happy with the points tally that they have at the moment. And really, only if something dramatically changes on the tally on the table and someone comes in and really blows this out the water, are they going to want to respond? If I was the like of Kasani, Zhang, Montoya, Van Rossum, any of those riders in the top 4, I would be very happy to sit.
Well, we might have the camera down in with Catherine Montoya. I'd have really loved to hear what was being said there, looking up at the screen, looking at deciding whether or not to push. Good to see Catherine Montoya, another of our regular riders on the Sunday Race Club, and good to see her in action here. And at the moment, a third place, that's a big smile for third place. That's a big points haul, 36 points so far. And even if somebody puts in an amazing ride and goes to the top, we're only going to get 1 or 2, so she's in a good place moving onwards.
Well, indeed she is. And as we said, this really is, stage 1 really is about tactics and strategy and using your head as much as you use your legs and your lungs, because it's about smart riding and smart racing. Yes, you might be able to go and smash it and take the top spot and put in 3, 4, 5 sprints in 15 minutes. But what are you going to have left for stage 2?
Very, very interesting quandary our riders find themselves in, because it's all right to say, if you're up at the top, that's great. What if you're down in the middle? What if you're down further towards the back? I mean, we've seen here Kristen Hamilton's just literally almost coming to a standstill here. You don't have to keep on riding. You can literally just tick your legs around or jump off the bike and maybe refuel, get yourself ready to go. These riders have got to think, have I done enough? And I think that's a much more difficult question if you're maybe down in the top 10, but maybe not. You think you maybe had something left, because if you put in a sprint that you didn't think was your best, there's that temptation to go again.
Well, there is always a temptation to go again, and it is managing the temptations and managing the emotion. You want to be thinking with your head and not necessarily with your heart at the moment in this race. As we're in with Doreen Chu here. Chu currently lying in 10th place with 22 points on the tally. It's a good, strong score and really setting herself up well. The question is she going to go again? Well, Catherine Montoya there as well, but Chu now on our screen, and we can see her sitting there tapping along. Now, these riders, Matt, tapping along and continuing to turn their legs because they want to stay warmed up and ready, because stage 2 will be coming after the end of this.
It will. We've got 5 minutes left now, and as you can see, most of our riders just cruising around at the moment. I'm not sure whether anybody's going to put in a cheeky effort at the end of this, because the closer we get towards the end, the more difficult it will be. Kristen Hamilton just putting a push on here. Will it be enough to take a right up? They go, Paul, putting in a bigger effort here, 9 watts per kilos at the moment, 8th position, potentially got some points up for grabs. She's going to have to beat 20 seconds realistically to move up. It's going to be a little bit too much to ask, I think, at this stage after that stretch of the legs. So Paul at the moment sitting in 8th position. So the German rider just behind 3 riders from the Philippines. We saw them all riding through together, very, very strong. In 4th place, we've got the Netherlands with Gina Van Rossum. In 3rd place, we have got Colombia with Catherine Montoya. 2nd place, China with Hao Zhang. And top spot, Lithuania with Ursula Kasani with that amazing sprint that she kicked out on the very first run in through the line. So 3 minutes 44 left of stage number 1. At the moment, these riders are making their way back in and round, just easing their legs off at the moment, making sure they've got that spun out, making sure that they are all ready for the next stage. So you can see the times on your screens at the moment. 1 rider inside 19 seconds. We've got 6 riders going sub 20 seconds. Elena Lopez potentially has the a reasonable chance of moving up into the top 10, as does Imogen Alton. They're the riders with a chance at the moment. Amy Marin is on a run into the line here. This will be really interesting to see what she can do. Her fastest time so far, a 20.722, puts in a big dig here. Will she be able to move up? She was in 9th position. Where will she be once we go in through? We're going to get a refresh and still sitting in 9th place. And a real indicator, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be watching this going, right, what's my tactic? Because this sprint, the sprint stage, it is absolutely critical for the riders, isn't it?
It is absolutely critical, this stage. They do want to pick up points. And a lot of people watching this will be thinking, how do I get involved with this? What do we do? And you need to head over to MyWhoosh.com. You need to click on the events page because there are 2 more open qualifiers coming up over the next 7 days.
So you can jump in with our riders. There may well be that there's different riders, different packs, different sizes on those different qualifiers. And of course, there's different time zones as well. Carolina Chukaziewicz in here, the rider making her way in through. The regular esports rider from Poland, looking at the moment in 13th place, 16 points in the bag, so a good score. We'll be looking to improve on the climbs. So we'll see whether Carolina is able to do that.
Oh,
It looks like she's after
she's
some
pushing
more.
on right now. As you can see, the effort and the power going down and the work going in. And she's working really, really hard for this match. She's trying to scrape together a last sprint effort before the time runs out. She's going to come in within the remaining time. But what a fierce time she is having with that sprint at the moment.
So in underneath the line with a just over 1 minute left to go, sits in 13th place at the moment, and looks like that effort not pushing her up, not grabbing any more points that time round. So going to be, I suspect, 16 points for Carolina. She goes in underneath the banner and out onto what is potentially a last lap. You don't want to make too many efforts, so some more last gasp efforts coming in. Lopez digging in deep there as she goes in underneath the line in 12th there, and just drops down. So we have seen just a little bit of movement there, and I think Doreen Chu just pushing up a little bit here.
Tell you who it was. It was Kirsten Hamilton, moving up from 14th to 11th.
Nice
so
move.
Fabulous effort from her. That's going to gain her 6 points.
So another 6 points on the very last few seconds. That is last gasp, and that doesn't leave anybody any chance really to respond either.
Oh, interesting tactic from Hamilton, and nicely done, showing that it is possible.
And if you've got a kick and you go first lap, last lap, you've then got a gap between stage 2 where you've got a chance then to move on through. And remember, of course, all these points will count towards qualification to the semi-finals of the UCI 2024 Esports World Championships. And the finals, of course, live in Abu Dhabi. Now, that clock ticks down. Away goes the time. Our riders have done all they can on stage number 1. That is all done and dusted, and you can see now it's about getting your heart rate down, making sure that they get this absolutely dialed. Now, let's see how the riders have stacked up at the end of stage 1. So our overall standings at the end of stage 1. Ursula Kasani taking his top spot with 40 points from Zhang. Then Montoya, Van Rossen, Altamirano, Prado, Bonamilla, Paul, Marin, and Chu. They're your top 10 there. And Emma, good showing there by the riders from the Philippines, with 3 riders inside the top 10,
5th,
all packed
6th,
together.
And 7th place for Altamirano, Prada, and Bonilla. Those 3 riders from the Philippines. Great to see. And what a mix of countries we have in there, Matt. You know, from Kasani from Lithuania, Zhang from China, Montoya from Colombia. So a real mix of around the world.
It is, and great to see these riders in here. We've got Singapore represented by Doreen Chu in there. Lots of different riders from lots of different nations taking the opportunity to try and qualify for those semi-finals. Stage 1 is done and dusted. Out of those top 10, we know Ursula Kasani clearly can sprint because she's right up there. Is there anybody like Hamilton, like Alton Lopez, potentially who could challenge? I mean, I know
Well,
I've got my eyes on one rider, but I don't want to. It might be the same rider you have when it comes to
I
the
have
next
a
stage.
feeling that Germaine Prado is hanging back a little.
Snap.
Because I know she can push very strongly on a climb, and I think she's hung back in this at this stage for the next stage. So great tactics. But let's just round out the top 14 riders. So Kirsten Hamilton picking up 20 points with that final lap effort. Imogen Alton 18 points in 12th place. Elena Lopez 16 points in 13th, and Karolina Chudzikowicz in 14th place, picking up 14 points. And all of these points will be added to the points they collect on stage 2, the strategist. So these overall standings will come together with stage 2 to give the combined overall standings. And well, Matt, the first 10 riders in this qualifier will automatically qualify for the semi-finals in September.
So the riders on your screens at the moment have one hand on the door that would open for them to go through to the semi-finals. Who is going to challenge? Is anybody going to be able to push them down and out of the way? It's going to depend on the climbing skills of the riders as well as their sprint skills, because our next stage is a real mix. It's a real variety of terrain, and the opportunity to qualify for those semi-finals is there and waiting for the riders at the moment. It's going to be all about making sure they get in there. I thought the tactic being played out there by Hamilton really interesting because of the timing. Lap 1, 15 minutes later, almost 12 minutes later, goes for it on the last lap. We then got the gap to stage 2. It's almost the same.
Yeah.
And that means if you're good at doing a sprint recover, you've got opportunities to put 2 good sprint times in and move yourself up through there. And Kirsten Hamilton from the United Kingdom, looking at the moment like she has got a good chance of being up there. So could she be a rider to challenge? Is this part of a strategy? As Emma has said, the next stage is all about being that strategist, being that smart rider who can plan some tactics and maybe execute them when we move on from stage 1 to stage 2. And Emma, this is the only one of our 3 qualifiers that uses a strategist stage. There's limited opportunities for riders to actually get a good practice in on this stage, good set out race pace. And we saw a fantastic race practice in the Flamme Rouge racing event.
Well, we did indeed, and there have indeed been Flamme Rouge racing test events on all 3 courses, where anybody could come and ride the courses for the World Championships that will take place in October. Now, the semi-finals using the strategist and the all-out, not using the sprint. The sprint, though, being used in all of these open public qualifiers. So really interesting use of when and where the 3 courses are being used.
And so once we've finished our open qualifiers, the next time potentially we will see that sprint stage will be the finals.
It will.
In Abu Dhabi, which is live, in person.
Could you imagine 20 riders all sprinting in one room?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, me too. It's going to be fabulous, and I think it's going to be so close. But you've got to get there first, and there are many different ways you can get to those semi-finals and then qualify from the semi-finals to the finals in Abu Dhabi. Now, the first one was indeed the National Federation's process in terms of nominating their riders. This is the second opportunity. So if you are a rider not nominated by your National Federation for the World Esports Cycling Championships 2024 on MyWhoosh, you can join these public open qualifiers. And today is the first of 3. So today, the 3rd of August, it is the first of 3 opportunities. There are 2 more opportunities, one on Wednesday and one a week today on Saturday. And Matt, how can we get onto, if we're looking at this thinking, oh, I could do that, I really fancy having a go at seeing if I can qualify for the World Semi-Finals and maybe make it to Abu Dhabi, how do our viewers try and do that?
Well, the really easy way is to jump onto www.mywhoosh.com. Go on there, click on to the events. You can download the race manual. You can download exactly what you need to do. All our riders doing a power passport so that we get an idea of exactly how much power they can produce to make sure we can verify this. And of course, verification is a key part of the process where we make sure that we are going to be getting accurate performances from the riders. Now, there's lots of different things behind the scenes going on. Don't forget, you could jump on things like the Virtual Velo podcast with Emma to find out all about the turbo trainers, for example. There's a whole episode devoted to turbo trainer accuracy, if that is what floats your boat. However, if you want to jump on board and get onto MyWhoosh, please do. The racing details are on there. And don't forget, of course, there's lots of great opportunities to race. If you're inspired by this, but you don't think maybe this year's World Championships, maybe your legs are not quite there yet,
well,
do you know what? You could jump on board one of the other races.
Yeah, not just races, and there are lots of races. There's also training programs and many worlds to explore if social riding is your thing. But those 2 open qualifiers are available now. The first stage of those 2 open qualifiers on Wednesday and next Saturday will indeed be the sprint like we have just seen, but it will not be the strategist like it is coming up. It will be the all-out stage, which is a short 4-kilometre lap, and it will be 3 laps of that course for our racers to qualify. First 10 riders in each of the qualifiers will automatically qualify for the semi-finals in September. So the top 10 point scorers overall in stage 1 and stage 2, those cumulative points making progression to that semi-final.
And that's what all our riders want. They want to qualify. They want to move up to go into those semi-finals to see where they stand in that world ranking. You can see the riders now assembled down on the start line, ready for stage 2. They'll know what's in front of them. Lots of different strategies from our riders at this stage. I'm sure some will be just turning their legs around. Other riders just maybe just jumping off, maybe just making sure they're just moving about. Other riders, of course, will be refueling. Some will be getting on board. Some last-minute energy, making sure they're hydrated, making sure that everything's right. Anybody who's had a mechanical issue, because that can happen on the bike, let's face it, this is the opportunity to get it sorted and maybe come back even stronger and then score big in the next stage, which is stage 2 of our very first open qualifier here on MyWhoosh. Lots of these riders, we've seen quite a few of the regular riders that we see on the Sunday Race Club, which is the premium event on MyWhoosh, where we do see so many fantastic world-class performances of these riders doing an amazing job of actually pushing themselves to the limit time and time again.
Well, yes, and these courses, these world courses, very, very different to Sunday Race Club. But our Sunday Race Club regulars, really great to see them having the opportunity to qualify for the World Championships, and a number of those trying to do so here today. Now, Matt, one of the things I'm really looking forward to in stage 2 is that I'm trying to say this with no spoilers about the men's race that we have just seen in terms of the first open qualifier. But we saw very, very different tactics from the men and different riders come to the fore. Are we going to do the same again now?
Well, it's all about making sure the riders nail it on stage 2. Absolutely critical. As you can see, the course based out in a slightly bigger world here, and the course design lends itself. Now we are starting pretty central on the bottom side of that, where the sweeping bends are, just coming through the fields. We're going to come around the left-hand side of the course and move in towards the climb. The climb takes you up towards the spiral descent, and you can see the course overlapping at the top there. That's the descent section. Back down again as they run down and through. It's 8.9 here, and Emma, it's going to be key here because this is not a nice, easy run around the countryside, is it?
No, it's not. So the run in from the start pen at 2.1 kilometres, that is where the climb starts. It will kick to over 16%, and it is a 1.5-kilometre climb. Now, in terms of points, because there are 3 opportunities for points on this course. The first set of points at the base of the climb. So 20 points are available, maximum down to 1 for the top 20 riders. And this isn't the fastest to the base of the climb. This is first across the line. It's also first across the line at the top of the climb that picks up points. Those top 20 riders, 20 points down to 1 point. And then on the finish line is the third opportunity, and it's double points at the finish. So crucial you go over the top of that climb right at the front, because you're going to want to be picking up those double points on the finish line. Top 20 riders scoring points again, but this time it's 40, 38, 36 and down to 2.
So all those points are going to be added to the stage 1 points tally. Remember, the leader in the clubhouse is Ursula Cassani at the end of stage number 1 with 40 points, 2 points clear of Zhang. Then it's another 2 points back to Catherine Montoya. They're your top 3 at the moment, but who can climb 200 meters of elevation around the circuit, 8.9k to cover, and this course is testing. Pacing is absolutely key to this race route. The riders are lined up ready to go to head out on to the course. This is stage 2 of our very first open qualifying event for the 2024 UCI Esports World Championships.
Yes, it is indeed. And I'm expecting this race to take somewhere between 15 to 20 minutes, depending upon our racers and our riders. We saw Tidholm do a 15-minute, 43-second lap as part and parcel of an earlier test event. So it's going to be around that time I would expect to see the top women here really start to come across the line, but expecting possibly some gaps and possibly some interesting tactics as to where our riders choose to pick up points today.
And where they put that effort in, very different on the way through previously. Let's see what happens.
Well, it is going to be different indeed, as our women down in the start pens for this stage 2. The strategists are warming their legs up, staying warm, staying motivated, staying focused, because this is the one that counts. 3 opportunities to pick up points. The points on stage 2 cumulative together, added to those points from stage 1, and well, it's going to be the overall points today across the 2 stages that allow our riders to qualify for the semi-finals.
Leader in the end of stage 1, heading into stage 2, Ursula Cassani is in here. Let's see whether Ursula can kick away from the start. Can she climb? Can she hold on to that lead? They're going to be getting ready to see if they can take those points away, take the win here today. Remember the key thing, top 10 places. Those are the qualifying spots.
Well, top 10 places: Cassani, Zhang, Montoya, Van Rossum, Altamirano, Prada, Bonilla, Paul, Marin and Chu at the moment. They are waiting for the green of go. Away go the women on stage 2. This is the first of 3 public qualifiers on MyWhoosh for World Championship progression to those semi-finals. And the pack is out of the start pen. Cassani just sitting very, very steadily in the group. So is Prado, so is Hamilton. Zhang is there as well. Imogen Alton is there too. The Australian rider did indeed represent Australia at the World Championships in 2023. She's looking for a spot for 2024, but so is everybody else in this pack as they swing out and round onto the course. They're half a kilometre in to this 8.9 kilometre race, and Zhang, Cassani, Alton and Paul, Lopez and Chizekowicz, Altamirano and Prado, well, they're the riders at the front of this bunch, but it is one bunch.
And the clock ticking its way along as they come up to the top, over the top and down in towards the flatlands. It's a flat run into the climb here. And what the riders do here, how much effort they put into staying in contention is going to be telling, because they will want the points. Quick reminder, 2.5 kilometers into race route, 1.5K from here. That is the first point scoring opportunity of stage 2 at the base of the climb. You can see that on the top right hand side of your screen, the white line, the course profile, moving from right to left past that yellow vertical bar, which is the rider's position at the moment. You can see the riders on the screen at the moment as one bunch, and that's represented by the yellow discs on the bottom left-hand side of your screen. The speed currently just over 40 kilometers an hour, and at the moment, as you can see, the riders are motoring along quite nicely, 1.5K in. Now, central top section, if you're new to MyWhoosh and the user interface here, the key numbers that are very telling. We have the watts. If it's green, green is good because it means you're in the draft, you're hiding out of the way of the wind. White is in the wind. You can see the heart rate up there and the pedal cadence as well. Now, you can see Kasani, left-hand side of your screen on the bottom there. We've got Haozang, the rider, chasing behind, and we've got Gokipol as well, sitting in 8th place at the moment in the competition. All focused on their screen, all focused on being in position and scoring points. It's Kasani's at the moment, the lead in the qualifiers. Can she hold on? If she loses points, what's the tactic going to be? How hard do you push now? Well, this is your answer. Little bit of a kick there just coming in. Really interested to see, is it going to be enough? That was almost a false start. Here we go.
Van Rossum, Alton, Zhang, Kasani, all up at the front. And it's Gina Van Rossum who picks up the 20 points from Imogen, Alton, Hao, Zhang, and Asulia Kasani. Chizikowicz coming through in 5th place, Paul in 6th, Montoya in 7th. Really, really interesting set of results at the moment in this stage.
So let's take a look at who came over the line first as they came in through, and it was Kasani who just took that from Zhang, then Montoya, Van Rossen, Alta Marino. Rounding out the top 5, we're just going to take a check as come through. The riders, as they've made their way up here, we're just going to take another double check there because it looks to be like Kasani is going to be leading. In fact, Van Rossen taking that over the line. These are the updated results here. So this is for the run over the base of the climb. Van Rossum from Alton and Zhang. Kasani in the mix there in 4th place. Gokipol, who we saw on our screens earlier on, in 6th place. But the push in and over the line, absolutely critical. Zhang kicking to take good points on the way in. And on the right-hand side of your screen, it's Zhang who is setting the pace on the climb with more points available at the very top.
Well, Kasani is the rider we're in with on the screen. She's currently lying 3rd on the climb at the moment. Paul in 2nd. Zhang now out front. She's 4 seconds up on Kasani. Alton, Imogen Alton, just 1 second behind Kasani. So these 4 riders now really pushing on the climb. Bonilla, Van Rossum, and Prado. Well, Bonilla just a little bit ahead of Van Rossum and Prado. Chu is there as well, but she's 10 seconds further back. So the gap's now really starting to open on the climb here on stage 2. This is the strategist. This is the second part of the 2-stage qualifiers today in the public qualifiers for the World Championships.
So in terms of the overall, we've got Kasani at the moment from Zhang. This is going to be very interesting to see how they roll this out, though, as they make their way over the finishing line. It would be interesting to see who can take this as they go into the finish, because Zhang is pushing here, and this is a strong pace being set by Zhang at the moment, going up the climb. She clearly is looking to take away maximum points here. She's got the gap at the moment to Kasani. Paul is right on the heels, though, of Zhang here, riding really well, the German.
Well, yes, but for me, Matt, this is a really interesting one, actually, because Zhang really strong in terms of picking up the points. Overall, at the moment, she's sitting in 2nd place behind Kasani. She's a long way clear of 10th place in terms of the points. Yes, she does need to watch this because there are still 60 points available. But there is a question as to how deep do you go to actually pick up the points, and how much work do you do that you just have to do to qualify and get into the top 10?
Indeed, and we got Van Rossen. I mean, Gina Van Rossen really worked very, very hard to get that sprint as she came into the base of the climb. maybe knowing that she was going to lose a little bit of ground here. She's in 7th place on the road at the moment.
Good ride for the Netherlands rider.
Really strong ride. And I was just taking a little bit of a look at the numbers on here, and I suspect she's probably got a fair bit of climbing speed in those legs at the moment, just ahead of Chu by about 10 seconds. She'll want to hold position, though, because we have got that run down the side, but the front of the race on the left-hand side of your screen, Hao Zhang here, and behind, it looks to me like Fredo is on the way. She's got Bonilla with her as well. The two Philippines riders chasing Kasani from Lithuania, chasing Alton from Australia, chasing Gokapol from Germany, all of them chasing Hao Zhang of China out of the saddle, tapping those pedals round. The revs at the moment, 59, that pedal cadence. As she's out of the saddle, keeping the power down, 13, 14%, 14.5, heading for 15. They're going to top out at just over 16% here. And this is where your legs are going to be screaming. You're trying to suck up the oxygen. You know, when you get to the top, you have gone through half of the points available on this stage, but there is the same at the end of the race. So got to say something for the end of the race.
Well,
Zhang's working well here.
She's working very well, and up ahead of her is the polka dot banner signifying the top of the climb. She's well now into view of it. She's going to, I think, be very happy because she's going to be the first rider underneath that banner, and she's going to pick up maximum points on the top of the climb checkpoint. So the climb checkpoint underway for Hao Zhang. She's pushing on, brilliant riding to get to the top of the climb. She's now got the descent, but Paul is pushing the German rider in close contention. Kasani just behind, and Kasani has Alton for company. And Prado and Bonilla, well, Prado is now pushing on and leaving Bonilla. The two riders from the Philippines doing real strong riding up this climb.
So the points being added up as they go up over the top of the climb. Zhang taking the maximum points to the top of that and moves ahead of Kasani overall by the look of it. But remember, the results are live at the moment. Remember, all the results that you see tonight are provisional at the moment because they are live, and the riders are subject to verification checks before, during, and after the racing. Now, Prado goes up over the top. Strong ride by her. Take away a 5th place at the top of the climb. Bonilla's going to get a 6th place here. She should stay ahead of Van Rossum, who is immediately behind. The riders in front, they're screaming back down. The same gradient, 16.2%. Descent as you go across the top. You then drop back down that same steep percentage, and that is when you're going to pick up the pace, pick up the speed, and it is when there is the potential to try and claw some time back, maybe find a group in that run to the finish, because it's a fair distance still from the top of the climb until we get into our finish. So Bonilla over the top. We're going to take a look at those points that they scored as they came up in a second. It's not going to be long until they're up on our screen. Zhang taking the leading points. Here we go.
There you go.
So Zhang taking the top points from Gokapol. 6 riders over the top and counting.
Yeah, 7 on my screen because it is updating. This is live racing and live results. Zhang picking up 20 points, Paul picking up 19, Kasani 18, Alton 17, Prado 16, Bonilla 15. Then I have Van Rossum picking up 14, Altamirano 13, and Chu 12.
So on the way down, you were just in with Kim Bonilla scoring a 15 points at the top of that climb to add to her point total. And it looks to me like the Philippines are going to have strong rides from all their riders, because Altamirano's in 8th position at the moment. They've got a real strong representation in this qualifier number 1, the open qualifier number 1, to move through to the semi-finals. Hao Zhang, though, is a class apart on this course at the moment, because she's got the gap on Alton and on Paul. They're going to have to do something about this. They want to take those points away. Paul at the moment in 5th place overall. Alton, though, in the danger zone, in 8th place because it's incredibly close in the positions behind her.
Well, Alton, I think, has been really interesting this stage because she really did not go out hard on stage 1. She has absolutely taken the strategy of saving herself for stage 2 because I imagine she thought it would suit her better. So a very, very interesting tactics playing out at the moment on stage 2. Different to stage 1 and different riders because Asulia Kasani, who set that blistering pace on the sprint in stage 1, currently in 4th place at the moment, 32 seconds back from Zhang.
So Zhang continuing to push, trying to get that gap on the right-hand side of your screen. Kasani, the rider who is 1 point behind overall, trying to claw that gap back down again. Going to be really key for all these riders, though, to stay ahead. And one of the things that these riders are going to be looking at, it's very different riding a course than it is racing a course.
Oh, yes.
Racing a course, the time is critical for these riders to get some time on course. Now, you can see we've got Altamirano and Bonilla and Fredo all racing in the same place, in the same room. So on the riders' right is Altamirano on the top of our screens. In the centre is Bonilla of both the screens and in the room. And then we've got Joe and Fredo down at the base of your screens and on the riders' left, all racing well. Really good to see them in the same place as well, getting that support. And I think doing an amazing job today of getting themselves into those qualification spots. They will want to try and take everybody through. They have to maximize their point score here today as they continue to push here. And you can just see
look at the effort from Bonilla.
I know, there's absolutely everything being put into this. Fantastic to get that insight into the riders.
Well, also fantastic to get the insight into the fact that the 3 riders are live in the same room together. 3 riders from the Philippines, all supporting each other in an effort to get them all to the World Championship semi-final later this year.
Let's see if they're going to make it count. Are they going to be able to do that? Will they get everybody in? Well, we will have to find out. Remember, 3 open qualifiers. This is the only one that uses the strategist, and it's the only one where the riders will be on this course for the open qualifiers until we move into our semi-finals. One rider who's had a good race out on this course, so on the right-hand side, it is Hao Zhang at the moment out of the saddle, once again stamping on those pedals, making sure she keeps that gap to Alton, to Paul, to Kasani, to Prado, all continue to open that. Alton is the nearest rider to her, but nobody's surely going to touch Zhang as she makes her way. She now has 700 meters to go.
Yeah, she's got 700 meters to go and she's leading this out at the moment. So Zhang in P1, Paul and Alton fighting together for 2nd and 3rd place at the moment. They're 15 seconds up on Kasani, who's around 15 seconds up on Prado. Those 5 riders really pushing on Bonilla and Altamirano. The 2 other riders from the Philippines in 6th and 7th, and Gina Van Rossum holding 8th place at the moment. It's going to be interesting to see what points she can pick up. She put in a strong sprint, and I think that's because she knew there were stronger climbers in the race. So riders really looking at and playing out the tactics and the strategy that they need in this multi-stage points competition.
Well, one rider who has had the strategy on the strategist stage, the rider who is going to make this as Hao Zhang makes her way to the line. The UCI banner comes into sight. She knows she's done enough. She comes through. She's going to extend her lead at the top of the point standing. What a great ride by Hao Zhang to take victory in stage 2. And you can see just keeping those legs turning, that fan blowing. And looks like trying to see what happens behind her now on the screens. It looks like Imogen Alton in a sprint with Goka at the moment as they go through. It's going to be Alton who goes through in 2nd place, plus Paul in 3rd, I think, at the line. Ursula Kasani, the rider who came in here as the leader after the end of stage 1. got a buffer. Will it be enough? It
Yeah,
should be.
and I think that buffer was her strategy. Go out hard stage 1, get that 40 points, and then manage stage 2. She's not pushed to be in contention in stage 2. She's ridden a very, very sensible race, managing her effort, managing her race, and delivering the points that she needs.
So through the line goes Sulia Kasani. She takes away a great result from qualifying number 1, qualifying herself for those semi-finals. If it holds through, if it's all verified, which it should be, German Prado coming through, another regular on MyWhoosh, makes her way through, a multi-time national champion. Knows when to pick the pace up. Hopefully going to be leading at home. A strong Philippines contingent. Kim Bonilla with a gap to Gina Van Rossen behind her. Behind Altamirano, Van Rossen and Montoya. They're all reasonably close, and that could change in the distance they've got to the finishing line. It's not going to change position, though, for Kim Bonilla. Another good ride by Bonilla here. She was working hard in stage 1. She's worked hard in stage 2. She's going to come over the line in 6th position. Great ride by her.
Well, it is indeed, and it puts her ahead of Catherine Montoya. Montoya is 3 riders down at the moment. We're in with Van Rossen and Altamirano. These 2 riders neck and neck together. Chu behind, Montoya behind as well, as Van Rossen and Altamirano are going to be the next 2 riders. In fact, take a look at that. Catherine Montoya can now see them up the road. They are going to see the finish line before Montoya. Montoya ahead of them on points at the moment, where she was ahead of Bonilla, as she's just dropped behind. Montoya working hard now. That's the UCI banner she can see, and she can see Van Rossum and Altamirano battling it out for the points.
So it's going to be Altamirano who goes to Angelica. Altamirano comes in over the line here today. As to her points total, Gina Van Rossen, who scored big on the very first points available here on stage 2, comes in ahead of Catherine Montoya. Then it's going to be Darina Chu. Chasing from the Singapore, chasing down the Colombian as they came into the line behind Karolina Jezikowicz. Is going to be our next rider, the Polish rider. Makes her way in to the line now. This will help her. She was up against Amy Marin and Chu in terms of positions. I suspect she has done enough to hold on from Jezikowicz, but it's going to be about where those positions are when it comes to the top 10. So overall, on stage 2, first of all, there were some big points on offer, Emma. Zhang's done a good job.
Well, 80 points maximum today on stage 2, and Zhang takes 78 points. Alton second on the stage today, 74, followed by Paul in third, 70. Kasani not far behind in 69 points. Van Rossum, Prado and Bonilla, they are 5th, 6th and 7th on the stage. In fact, Prado and Bonilla picking up the same points tally of 58. Altamirano in 8th, picking up 50 points. Montoya, 49, and Chu in 10th place on the stage today with 46 points. Well, those are the stage 2 standings for the top 10. The race is still on, and Hamilton putting in a big dig. Look at that, to go past Marin and Lopez. Strong finish from Kirsten Hamilton, exactly the same as she did on stage 1. Fabulous racing from Hamilton today.
And remember, all these riders getting that experience on MyWhoosh, getting the racing in, making sure that they get those rides in. And, of course, 2 more opportunities for our riders to qualify in a 2nd and 3rd of our open qualifiers. But let's see who has made it through in the overall. Here we go. This is the list of riders who make it in and have qualified for our semi-finals, the first 10 riders in from our open qualifiers.
Well, subject to verification, it is Zhang in 1 with 116 points, a phenomenal points tally. Kasani in 2, Paul in 3, Van Rossum in 4, 94 points. Alton not far behind with 92. Prado, Bonilla, those two riders from the Philippines, 88 and 86 respectively. Catherine Montoya, the Colombian rider, also there in 8th place, just 1 point back. Ultramarino in 9th and Chu in 10th.
So qualifying for the semi-finals, one rider from China. We've got Kasani in there. From Lithuania, we've got the German in Paul. The Netherlands with Van Rossum. Australia with Alton. Philippines represented by 3 riders, Prado, Bonilla and Ultramarino. Colombia have got a rider qualified for those semi-finals in Montoya. And Singapore qualifier rider with Chu. Riders from all around the globe already qualifying for the semi-finals of the 2024 UCI Esports World Championship semi-finals. And great riding by Carolina Chizikowicz, Amy Marion, Kristen Hamilton and Elena Lopez, who have the chance to ride again.
And if you want to ride with them, it is Wednesday the 7th of August and Saturday the 10th of August when the next 2 open public World Championship qualifiers are on MyWhoosh. Head to mywhoosh.com/events to find out all the information. It's a 24-hour window before the start of the race when entries close.
So make sure you get on there, get it downloaded, jump on board. Don't forget, of course, that you can join us every Sunday for the Sunday Race Club as well. But we look forward to seeing you for our second open qualifier on the 7th of August. If we don't see you before, but from all of the team at MyWhoosh, from myself, Matt Payne, from Emma Martin, who's been here in the studio. I've really loved the racing, Emma. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah, I have indeed.
Time for us to say, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.